Oh, wait.
That's
Five.
five.
Yeah.
Good one, Stephen.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I think
6 of us here. I'll give, we got another minute or so.
Those are my person. The camera's the person.
Oh, okay.
I say,
Talk to you.
he's on there somewhere, just a picture.
Tom, can you hear us?
Yes,
Thank you.
Is Sadie there too? Well, it looks like it. At least we got a picture.
She's keeping really still.
Yeah. All those guys who were jumping up and down. One of them wanted to get him. Where are they? It comes to actually after Jules. I'm sure.
Tom, can you call me first thing in the morning? Mike Sampson,
okay, yeah,
had good progress today.
oh, excellent.
This seat's always cut out of the Zoom over here. These. I don't know if you knew that.
Is that why you sit up then? No, I usually sit up. That's the
From the,
mystery man.
I do the select board ones. I never can see you sitting over here.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
All right, I got 7:30, so I'm gonna go ahead and start the meeting. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see everybody again. And I've got an agenda. I didn't send it out, but I've got a few things. It's mostly what do you call it, housekeeping stuff that we gotta do. First, before we take attendance, I wanted to ask Michael, Sal, and Mike, did you guys all take your oaths?
Yes.
Okay, great, excellent. So I have had it here in case, but we already did it, so that's great. I guess I'll start by taking attendance. So Ellie. Stephen. John.
Yep.
Dennis. Karen.
Yes, here.
Michael Reese.
Here.
Sal.
Yep.
Pronounce it Persia.
Percy is good.
And Mike.
Yes.
All right, and I'm here, okay. First, I know it,
I don't think you called John.
I called John. I think everybody here basically knows everybody, but I think for people on Zoom and for everything, and we have some new members, it would be helpful, I think, if everybody went around the room and introduced themselves, name, and if you're an officer or want to be an officer, you can express that, but I'll start here. Nate Delow, I'm the acting vice chair, carryover from last year.
John Bergeron.
Sal Percy.
I'm Michael Reese. I just got reelected.
I'm Karen Hall.
Mike Sampson, not previously on.
And then we, it's like,
Yeah.
We go this way?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Ellie Davis. I'm the old lady of the team. I've been here the longest and I've been secretary for quite a while and I don't mind doing it again if you guys will let me have the privilege again. I'd be happy to do it.
excellent.
Mark Houston.
Mark Houston, all right.
Dan Collins, select board representative attending this evening.
All right. Tonight, we've got,
Are you back on the budget committee?
No.
we have Tom Kuplinski, is that how you pronounce it? Sadie, are you on with us too?
Sadie's muted.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
Excellent.
So Nate, but I just add that real quick. Karen was wondering, and I think I should clear some things up. So I am not back on the budget committee. Stephen is out of town. And we thought Sadie was gonna be at a memorial service. So we thought one of us should be here. So I'm here. So Sandy is able to be here as well.
Since we have one selectman serve on the budget committee, they can vote. So one of the other of them can vote in Steve's place, I think.
Okay,
I'll defer to Dan for that.
Okay.
all right, excellent. All right, we've got not a huge agenda tonight, but, I guess the first thing, I wanted to talk about is meetings, dates, locations. I know in the past several years, we tend to have met on Thursday nights, I believe, at 7 o'clock. Tonight at 7:30. I guess I do have a calendar here, and I know that I'm trying to recall, but we generally don't do a whole lot through the summer, right? We'll start in August, September. So I do have calendars. I know Ellie has inquired with some other boards to see what nights they meet and when and where. Ellie, does Thursday nights still work best from, or
Well, I know, the only like we have, I mean, Wednesday's good for me too, I can do either one. But obviously Tuesday's not good because that's a selectman night. The only real conflict we have is with the planning board, because we have two members that are also on the planning board, John and Mike Reed. And so their meetings are usually the second and fourth Thursday of the month
okay,
at 6:30. So the only real conflict we have is at the end of the year, when you have to do the public hearing. Is the only thing that works is usually a second Thursday. And so John usually schedules the hearing the same night too, for some reason, so, that's the only real issue, but we have to have those last two meetings within that week by law. So that we're constrained with, but the rest of it, we don't have any legal constraints.
Okay.
And the public hearing also has to be noticed with 7 days notice. So we can't just go monkeying around with it. We can schedule it later, but not earlier.
okay.
So the other thing is the planning board, John, are you still going with 6:30?
Yes,
Okay, so usually they can get done, before us.
okay,
It's the only other conflict we have with public hearings is, the school also has the same constraint with the public hearing. And so they usually have their public hearing the night we do the warrant articles, but their meetings are usually at 6. So that's why those two last meetings are usually 7:30. So that we don't conflict with either the planning board or the school.
Okay.
And I'm on the school budget committee too, so
okay.
that leaves room to get back and forth.
Does anybody recall, we traditionally done, like the first and third Thursdays? Is that what we have done in the past?
Mostly.
Mostly we have, okay.
I mean, we don't always meet them. In the past, what I've done, when I was chair and when I was secretary, usually the chairman and the secretary would work together to set up dates. And we didn't always meet all the dates.
Yeah.
And so it's better, like I said before, we schedule more than we need because we have to reserve the room. And there's no penalty to cancel a meeting unless it's a hearing. That's the only issue. So that's why I've always proposed more than we need, plus the weather, or you might not be able to get a department head to come in and schedule. So last year, Dave McAllister and I, we scheduled more than we needed, and we canceled a couple.
Okay.
So,
To hear from the members, does Thursdays work for most people?
Yeah, that's fine.
It works well for me. I don't, is it all right with everybody else? It seems to have worked in the past. So I would say, well, we're gonna elect officers tonight, but once that happens, I think the chair and the secretary could work together to schedule some meetings for starting in the fall, and then we can send them out and see what people think. Yes, Mike?
I have a conflict from 5:30 to 6:30. So if it's after that, I'd like at least 15 minutes to get
Yeah.
from one to the other.
Do people have a preference as far as time for 7 versus 7:30?
So, 7 for me. I mean, I think the earlier the better.
Not other people.
7 works.
7 works.
Yeah.
Yes, no earlier.
Yeah, no earlier than 7, yeah. All right, we can go for, so 7 would work for you, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, keep that in mind, Thursdays going to the fall. 7 o'clock, and then I guess, raises two other issues. I guess one will sort of determine the other, but we had some discussion last year. I think all of you were here for that, but about whether we want to continue with Zoom or not. And there was some discussion and then it decided that the committee wanted to continue to do that. I will raise it again this year because I'm not sure that anywhere else we can do the Zoom. If we went to the fire station, for example, can we set up the Zoom there? I just don't know. Seems like it's set up here. So I guess.
But this place is especially complex. And you don't have to use all the equipment that's here, but any place you've got internet, you can do Zoom.
You can, huh?
The sound is good here.
Sound is good here
In this room.
in this room?
I do all the select boards by Zoom. I watch the Zoom to take the minutes.
Okay, and they do it here. So what are the thoughts? Do people want to keep doing the Zoom? I know that not many people do it,
I
but
think it's such a political football at this point that we should keep it at least for another year.
what about,
Keep it.
Keep it here,
keep
Zoom, just keep it's working.
okay. Did you want to say something, Ellie?
That's the standard right now.
It ought to be,
Put some-
The big issue is the right to the recording, is it the select board or is it the budget committee?
I would say,
I believe it's the budget committee.
yeah,
That's the
But-
only issue I have with Zoom is
but-
I just, if it's gonna be Zoom, like, the planning board does Zoom, but the planning board runs it. So that's my only issue is I think if you're gonna do Zoom, the budget committee should do it, but I have no,
well, I mean, we can, I mean, if.
I just don't like the idea of us being accountable for things that aren't our responsibility. You know what I
And
mean?
that does it.
But Ned's the town administrator and we can,
By us, we're independent of everybody else in town.
Yeah, but he's gonna do the mechanics,
but he can do he can set it up for us.
Yeah.
And then break it down for us and,
but he has to maintain the files. He's gonna put it
I see.
on the internet.
If he wants to post into the select board page, which is what he's been doing, I'm okay with that.
oh, he stepped out, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, I personally think, I mean, the town administrator is always at our meetings anyway, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
historically, they have been, and if he's willing to do it. So am I hearing, I don't know, it sounds like everybody wants, is anybody opposed to continuing Zoom? No, okay, so I guess we'll do it. I don't think we need to vote on it. It's not, we've been doing it, so I think we'll just keep doing it.
Right.
my concern is I don't want people to get lazy. If
I-
you decide to do Zoom, it's going up.
Well, I think, we can agree as a committee, the expectation when you join the budget committee is to come to the meetings, right? And I think there's been policy in the past that if you're gonna have an absence, you should let the chairman know and it should be excused. And if you have too many unexcused absences, then you could be removed from the committee.
It's automatic.
Yeah, so is it 3? Is that what it is? 4?
Four without being excused, 4 to 1.
I will say if everybody I see here, everybody, unless they've got a conflict, comes to the meeting. So I'm not that concerned about it, but I think that the expectation is that we're all here. Obviously, if we can't be, I'd rather have somebody here on Zoom if they're sick and they're willing to participate than sharing the wealth here with the rest of us. But if they're able enough to participate, then I think it's a nice option. Still do business, and I think we
The
can
state law has some restrictions. You have to have a quorum here physically,
in
and you can't just abuse the privilege of doing remote.
right.
If you want to vote and you don't have a good reason to be absent, then you can't vote. I mean, if you're out because you're sick, or you're out because you're out of town, that's
Those are good
that's
reasons.
acceptable reason. But if you're out because it's your convenience, then that's not a good reason and you can't vote.
And I think that everybody here, I'm not worried about that. I think if you're not here, it's because you're out of town or you're sick. And if you're sick, frankly, maybe you just don't even come on Zoom because you're not feeling good, but. Dan,
Nate, I have some information regarding Ellie's concern. RSA 41-9 says that the select board has the responsibility to maintain internal control procedures to ensure safeguard of town assets and properties, to include any video, voice, or written recordings taken by town-owned property.
Yeah. that's
okay, so
fine.
that would be this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Find these responsibilities.
Yep.
I don't want to come back on us.
Well, the RSA says that it's
No, I understand. As long as he accepts responsibility, I'm okay with that. I just don't want people to think it's us, because lots of times we get blamed for things that aren't anything to do with us. So like, we don't maintain the website.
Right.
So I don't want to get blamed for something on the website being wrong, because we don't have anything to do with it.
Okay,
So I'm good as long as he takes the heat.
all right. And so that means we'll continue to have our meetings in this room. For all practical purposes, I think it makes the most sense. I'm willing to hear other, if anybody would rather meet elsewhere though. I can willing to entertain it.
These are the best chairs in town.
Great. All right, I guess skipped over this, but minutes, Ellie sent out the minutes from the deliberative, was that the deliberative session?
Yep.
Has everybody had a chance to look at those minutes? Any omissions or edits?
I move we approve them.
I'll second that. All right. All those opposed, say aye. I mean, all those in favor, say aye. John made the first.
No.
John made the motion and
Sal's.
Sal seconded it, yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain, I was not present.
You know what the date of that was?
February 4th? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Deliberative hearing, yeah, I wouldn't be there.
It's unanimous except for two. Okay. And, well, did Mike and Sal abstain too, because they weren't here either?
Well, they don't have to abstain.
Oh, they don't?
You can vote even though you're not
Oh, I
present.
didn't know that.
And I was here for the deliberative session. There you go.
Next, I have, as you saw, Sadie offered her resignation. She gave a resignation letter that she sent to everybody dated March 20th. I don't know, do we have to vote on to accept her resignation? No? Okay. Well, we'll miss you, Sadie, but moving up to the select board, so good luck with that and happy for you, so. We'll accept your resignation, and that means we have a position. And I'm of the opinion that we should fill that position. I know we don't have to, but we did have candidates on the ballot this year. It was actually, for the first time in a long time, I think, a ballot that had more than 3 names on it, so. I think we should fill that position. And is anybody opposed to filling the position? No? All right, good. So it looks like tonight we have 2 of the candidates. We have Mark Houston, who is at the back and is joining us right there. And then we've got Thomas Kuplinski, who is joining us via Zoom and could not be in town tonight. Do we have anybody else either on Zoom, or I don't see anybody else in the room that would like to put their name for consideration?
Yeah, I put, notices in the town office with your email address and mine, and I didn't get any responses.
I didn't get any except for from Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's the only, well, I reached out to the 2 of them.
That's right.
Because I think that's what you told me to do, and that's been the custom.
Yeah.
Since they already put their name forward, provide, it would seem obvious that they would be the first to ask.
Sure. Well, I think what we'll do then is we'll ask to hear from each candidate. We'll get to ask questions and then we'll take a vote to fill the slot tonight. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Just because I'm looking at you, Mark, because you're right there, would you like to explain to the budget committee who you are, why you'd like to serve, give us a little bit about your background and what qualifications you think you could bring to this committee?
Yes, I live up on Stevens Road up in the trailer park, Hunting Village. We've lived there for 10 years. I served on the budget committee up in the early 90s. Yeah, I like to serve on here. I'm interested in the water project that's going on in town in Chester. We'll see how that's gonna work out. interested people who. Serve the public.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Mark?
Oh, I looked them up. Didn't you serve on the planning board too?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay.
So you were on you've been on this committee before?
Yeah.
You have,
It was early 90s, 90, 92, 93.
everything you've heard us discuss, meeting locations, times, something like that, any of that, an issue for you?
The only obligation I had was I have to plow the park that I live in, because they take that out of my allotment. And that's how I pay for my allotment. Other than that, every time that it snows, if it doesn't snow, I'll deal with it.
Okay. Any other questions for Mark? All right. Thomas, do you go by Tom or Thomas?
Tom, by Tom.
So
And
Tom,
you can hear me okay?
yep, yep. He gave us Michael Reese passed out looks like a synopsis of, like a biography, I guess, from Tom. So we have all got that. And I guess, I'll put this back to you, Tom. Can you tell us a little bit? I know we can read it, but if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, why you want to be on the committee, things like that, leave it up to you.
All right, yeah, so you have that handout. That's what I used for the campaign, actually. And, I have experience in working in town government and on a board of ed. And I've also been on fairly sizable business budget committees on various businesses. But basically, what I think I can offer is that maybe a different perspective or some insight on how other towns operate. And I moved from the town of Orange, Connecticut. And just an example of things, I know that the fire department was looking for equipment, and the way they do things in Orange, Connecticut, they have the Orange Firemen that actually have an annual carnival that has been as a well run machine that they've developed over the years. They have the longest running carnival, I think, in one of the United States, and they have the biggest carnival in Connecticut. And this is just an example, but what they do is they have professional carnival people come in, but they raise well above $100,000 for the fire department every year. And they draw from the surrounding towns to get free advertisement from all the news media, and none of the fire equipment in the town of Orange, and they have 2 firehouses, is actually paid by taxpayers. All the fundraising and the carnival actually supports all the new fire equipment. So this is just one small example of how I might have maybe a different viewpoint or a different way of looking at things. So, that's a typical example there. But anyway, I do have, a lot of business experience in working with large sums of money and budgets, so.
Dan,
Nate and the budget committee, if I may, for a
Yeah, you
couple
may.
minutes, the select board as a whole would like to speak about something to the budget committee. And we fully understand that you're all elected officials and the select board does not dictate how you conduct your business, but the select board as a whole did speak, and because of the reasons that I stated earlier, I'm the guy sitting here. It would have been one of the other board members, and honestly, I think all 3 of us believe that it would be perceived better if it was one of the other board members, but here I am. So on behalf of the board of selectmen, select board, we feel that there may be a conflict of interest with Tom becoming a budget committee member. And we don't necessarily encourage that it is public knowledge, but we all also agree that we're not here to necessarily oust someone and discuss particulars unless anyone wants to, we're happy to, but that's not the purpose of me speaking. Quite frankly, I've met Tom a couple times. I met him at Meet the Candidates Night. He shows good qualifications, but we think that there may be a conflict with Tom serving on the budget committee at this point, and we just thought that we needed to mention that to budget committee.
Well, I could actually speak to that. So directly, so basically everything's public knowledge. And the thing is that I do currently have a tax dispute with the town only because of the way the property is being described. So it's, basically, and I have actually that is going actually pretty well because I have a meeting with the assessor. It's just the way that the property was described. And so I basically have this tax dispute with the assessor, not necessarily the town, but the way that the assessor has described the property. And I have a meeting with the property, the assessor is going to come out and assess the property. So that is, I'm completely open with that.
If I may, and I appreciate it, Tom, and thank you. And again, like Sal was just getting ready to say to me, he's like, well, you can't just leave us hanging like that. But really, the board doesn't want to be argumentative on it. Like, we don't want to be seen as that, but we feel it's our responsibility to speak up. And Tom talks about that there is a tax dispute, but there is, and he talks about how it's with the assessor, which I appreciate. But the reality of what the select board has seen is there's actually an active lawsuit between Tom Duplinski and the town of Kane.
Is it an abatement lawsuit?
It is.
Yes, it's an abatement lawsuit, which is the right of a citizen in the town to do. But the thing about it is that the reason that even took place is that there was a lot of confusion when I actually did not want to go this route. And originally I had, when Cheryl was the actual clerk, we had provided all this information with her, and then she left. And I even had emails with the assessor to change the tax for its tax year 2022, and it's an abatement because they misdescribed the property, the amount of land taken out of current use, and the house that was built is not described correctly. And I had emails back and forth with the assessor, and that was not corrected. That is why it has gone to this step, because I was not getting a response from the town. And it is an abatement. It's an abatement which is allowed by the state of New Hampshire. And that's why you look at this active lawsuit. Basically, it's the only way to get the attention of the town, I must say.
Yeah. I just have personal experience in this regard. I also had a case with the town, and I had a hearing with the BTLA, but we settled, and I was never disqualified from being on the budget committee. And that, as far as I noticed, I've done a lot of research on conflicts of interest, and that is not one of them. And it also is not against the law that I could read. Incompatibility of office is a problem. Like if he was a department head, that would be incompatibility and he wouldn't be eligible. But this is an issue that a lot of towns need to address. Is lots of people have conflicts of interest, and selectmen are often one of them, and planning boards are too. But the town has to have a policy in order for that to be in a conflict of interest to be enforced. The town has to have a policy about it. So absent the fact that, as far as I know, we have no policy about conflicts of interest, even if he had one, it would be irrelevant. The only thing that would conflict with him would be if he was an employee of the town or some other, held some other office that conflicted. That's in my research. I couldn't find anything else that would be a problem.
If I may, Dan or Sadie, I understand the conflict. I just want to know what the select board's position is on what you think the conflict between the select board and Tom in his capacity as a budget committee member. You know, working on the budget, what is the concern that the select board has that there's a conflict there?
We have no say in the meeting.
So I would first say that we're not trying to say this, you know,
Is disqualifying?
exactly,
Okay.
thank you. That's the word I was looking for. We're not trying to say this is disqualifying. We're not trying to state the laws. We're just stating what we collectively thought that we would approach the budget committee with to make you aware of and how the select board felt
Okay.
about it going further.
Yeah, but I think
didn't
the
answer
question
the
is, how would it impact his ability to perform what he needs to do for the budget committee?
He doesn't have a conflict with us. anyway.
I'm not positive that it would sell.
Okay, all right,
Right.
good. Was that's kind of what you were?
Yeah, that's
trying to
what
get
I-
at, right?
Mike.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything. That would be a conflict. I mean, he's got personal interests. The personal interests are in his assessment. And the interest of the budget committee is to recommend and adopt a budget for the voters. And the only thing I can think of that could even tangentially become a conflict. Is if he wanted to, reduce the budget for assessing or get rid of the paid assessor. As a result of the action that was taken in his case. And clearly, if that were to come up, he should recuse himself from any decision on them. But out of a $4 million budget. Pretty loose connection.
And frankly, if I may, all of us as taxpayers or property owners in this town have a financial interest in the budget. And we come here and we give our opinions. That's the politics of it. It's how we do it. And we take votes and we're elected. So I guess I don't see, thank you for answering that way. I don't see any conflict really. Tom, do you want to speak to that? Do you feel as though your current abatement proceedings would impact your ability to serve on this committee?
No, I don't believe it would. And if I felt that it would, I again would basically disqualify myself from making that decision. So to not harm the town. And this is again, an abatement that's written on the back of everyone's taxes. You have a right to file an abatement and, so again, it would not affect my ability to be, function on the committee. And the thing is my guess is that this whole thing will be resolved in a month anyway, because I do have this meeting finally with the assessor and, the minor issues that are related to the assessment, I think will be corrected. Incidentally.
Again, I just happen to be the person that is sitting here.
Oh, yes.
tonight. And, it's
We got you.
piggybacking off last year's meeting at this time.
Oh, right.
So, but look, that's what I signed up for and that's, you've got to wear your shirt tight sometimes. and do what's
It's
that.
that you don't do the third.
Well, inadvertently, right? So, but I will say, and I get it, but we're not trying to be argumentative. We just, that is, the board wanted to make that recommendation, I guess,
Yeah, I
for
think
lack of
it's-
better terms to the budget committee. And you guys
Good to know.
obviously do with it what you will, but
Yeah, appreciate the input.
Yeah.
Good to know.
and I appreciate how we all just handled it, quite frankly. So, yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions for Tom? No? Okay. Well, what we'll do now, I guess, is we'll take a vote, and I guess what we'll do is we'll just. Who is gonna vote for Mark and who is gonna vote for Tom? I think does anybody, if we wanna take a vote? We can move to take a vote.
Didn't ask him to leave?
No,
No?
we can't.
You can't? I don't know RSA's.
The question I asked.
It puts us all in the unenviable
Of actually
situation of
transparent.
raising hands.
You
So,
guys will share the uncomfortableness. that I have.
There you go. That's the way that works out.
So since this is an order of business, I'm gonna, does anybody want to make a motion that we proceed with the election to fill the vacancy?
Yes, I would definitely.
Okay,
make
so
that.
Mike-
It's time for
Michael
that.
Reese. All right, and Dennis seconded. All right, so I guess I'll just ask for a hand vote. All those who wish to elect Mark Houston, raise their hands. All those who wish to elect Thomas Duplinsky, raise their hands. Uh-oh,
So I could,
did you vote? I did vote. Oh, we have a deadlock.
you
Jeez.
want to
We have some absent members,
We do have some-
so maybe we'll have to
Postpone
postpone
it.
until,
I did.
You can take another vote.
well, we can take another vote. You can try that
Somebody may
again.
change them.
Make sure I got it. So we do that.
Sure. I guess it's on me then, as the chair, I have to abstain and then I have to break the tie, huh? Jeez, I don't have to, but we're gonna say,
You don't have to. Just vote with the rest.
sure. All right, so what I'll do is I'll say your name and you'll tell me who you vote for. Okay? Mike Sampson,
Duplinsky.
Sal,
Mike. Marcus, Mark,
Mark,
yeah,
Mike Reese,
Tom.
Karen Wolk,
Tom,
Dennis Salville,
Mark.
John Bergeron,
Tom,
Ellie,
Mark,
and me. Sorry, Dan,
Mark,
and I'll vote for Mark. So what do we have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Mark.
I got it because-
Mark.
So. And who did Mike Reese vote for?
Yeah,
Tom,
I voted for Tom.
Yeah.
5-4.
Okay.
All right, so. we got one,
Committee has spoken.
Okay, I made a mistake. So I've got 5 from Mark.
That's right.
4 to Tom. So it's 5 to 4. I missed Dan.
Okay.
Cause I thought I had Stevie down.
Well, you paid me the big.
So I have 5 to 4.
5 to
So
4.
unless anybody.
5 to 4 for Mark
Is
Houston.
that what you have?
All right, that's.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right, well, congratulations, Mark. You've been elected to fill the position for the next year. You'll have to be up for, if you want to run, if you want to stay on the committee, you'll have to run for election next year at this time.
So should we congratulate or give them our.
Yeah. Do you accept? You do accept. I'm a justice of the peace. I can take your oath right now if you want to do it. And then we can fill the committee. So, yeah, Tom, thank you for participating. And we will be having the election next year in,
There'll be 4 seats.
yeah, there'll be 4 seats. So please put your name in and also
Come to the meetings.
come to the meetings. Feel free to.
Oh, yeah.
Come to the meetings and get to know us and all of that. But thank you very much for
Mhm.
your consideration.
and we sometimes do get resignations throughout the year.
Somebody died.
Uncle Ty.
Happy thoughts.
Who's gonna die?
Well, before people die, they go to assisted living, so they move to Lebanon.
Oh,
They lose their position.
I live in Lebanon.
All right, anybody object to swearing Mark in right now? All right, Mark, you raise your right hand. Say aye and state your name.
I, Mark Houston,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear.
that I will bear faith and true allegiance to
Bear faith and allegiance to
the United States of America
the United States of America,
and the state of New Hampshire,
state of New Hampshire,
and will support the Constitution thereof.
Constitution thereof.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Say aye and state your name.
I, Mark Houston,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
solemnly sincerely swear.
and affirm
Affirm,
that I will faithfully and impartially
faithfully, impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all duties incumbent on me
all duties going on with me
as a member of the Town of Canaan,
as a member of the Town of Canaan,
New Hampshire Budget Committee,
New Hampshire Budget Committee,
according to the best of my abilities,
best of my ability,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
of this Constitution
of this Constitution,
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
as well as the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. All right.
Still like the city, Houston?
Yes.
It makes it easy.
All right. Last order of business that I have, before I open it up to any new business is the election of officers. So I believe we have three, right, Ellie? There's the chair, vice chair, and secretary.
To have a chairman and a secretary, but they can actually be the same person. But traditionally, since I've been on the committee, we've had a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary, all three different
Okay.
people. So
Everybody okay with having three officers? All right.
it's a good idea.
So, I guess I will take nominations from the floor. First, does anybody have any desire to fill any of these positions? Ellie?
And then get away with the chairman position first, and then we can do the rest.
Anybody else want to be the chair?
I'd like to nominate
You
Nate.
sure nobody else?
I'll
wants to be
second
the chair?
that.
I'll third that.
Nate.
Oh, yes, right.
All right.
You did a great job.
Okay.
Fine, you're gonna be great at this.
I think it's been good together.
No, are there any other nominations?
Are there any other nominations on the floor?
Nate.
So we have a nomination and we have a second.
Nate.
So,
So it's a yes or no.
so, I guess the vote is, you want me to be chair?
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, well, I accept. I will be the chair. Who wants to be vice chair? I can say that. At least the past year when Dave was on, there wasn't a whole lot that I had to do as the vice chair. There was a nice way to see how it goes. Dan, you comment?
No,
Okay.
after you're done,
Yep,
just
yep.
get next in line.
So does anybody want to step up and be the vice chair? Help me out if I need help.
Could I nominate?
You can nominate.
I would like to nominate Michael Reese.
I'll second that.
All right.
I appreciate it, but I would thank you. I really mean it, but I'm gonna decline for that.
Decline, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Understood.
Okay. I would nominate Sal.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so what do you think about that?
I would second that.
Yeah.
Hi.
You've been coming.
Yeah.
I'd be
you're-
happy to help you out. I told you, get into that, I'll help you. out.
He didn't say no, he's
Yeah,
in.
all right. Well, so did you nominate Sal?
Yes.
I'll second that. Or did somebody already second? I'll second it.
Okay.
All right, any other nominations?
So who seconded?
I did.
Nate.
You did.
Mike made the motion.
Okay, Mike,
Nate seconded.
okay, we got two mics, so I have
Yeah.
to try to figure out a good nickname for both of them.
Who wants to be Mikey?
John.
All right.
What was that, John?
I don't know the other one.
So all those in favor of Sal serving as the vice chairman, raise your hand. Or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, congratulations.
Thank you so much. You're the shocker.
You're easy.
Yeah, I am easy. It seems that I am too easy with this stuff.
Well, in my short couple of weeks, it's been great working with Ellie. She's right on top of things. So I would nominate, if you would accept Ellie to continue serving as secretary to work with me and Sal here. So.
Yeah, I'd be honored.
If you want it.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we got, I nominated, you got second. Any other, any other nominations for secretary? No? All right, all those in favor of electing Ellie as the secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Or nay, or however. Yeah.
So we got, the ayes have it, so.
The ayes
have it.
Um,
Yeah.
You voted to, didn't you, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Ellie.
No, I think it's a lot.
Well, that's all I've got on my agenda, so there's other business. Does anybody have any other business to bring before us tonight?
I move to adjourn.
Let me just make a comment and then we'll move to adjourn. What I'll do is in the next few weeks, I mean, we have some time, but I'll coordinate with Ellie to come up with some dates and we'll circulate those so everybody sees. It sounds like everybody's good with what we proposed, so I guess we'll just pick the dates and if you can't make it, that's life, right? You know, we work around it kind of thing. Yes, Ellie?
So did you have a chance to look over the dates that I sent you? I know it was kind of a last minute. thing.
I did not. No, I haven't checked my email.
Why don't you- why don't you do that,
Okay,
and then get back to me, and if you're okay with that, I'll just forward it to everybody else. Okay, because I didn't want to do it without discussing it in the
Sure,
meeting.
sure.
Because it would constitute a meeting outside.
Yeah.
of
No,
the
I
meeting.
understand. Yeah.
So, but ordinarily, it's the select, it's, you know, the chairman's job to set the date and, the agenda, if there is one. So, but the secretary is the one that does the posting.
Okay.
So that's why traditionally, we work together, the chairman and the secretary, so it's okay with you.
Yep.
Or if you have things you want to modify, let me know, and I'll make the changes, and then I'll forward it to everybody else to see what they say.
And I can assure everybody on the committee that the only communications Ellie and I will be having will be about
Right.
ministerial things like this. We will not be talking about
No.
budget committee matters. That's reserved for the public meetings.
That I think you should read the information, but I won't ask you your opinion or expect you to give me one, but sometimes I have to send out a obviously a minute. I have to send that out to everyone. And, so the only person that should be communicating with the minute takers should be the secretary.
Yeah.
Unless, you know, something happens to me, then he can speak to either the vice chair or the chairman. But no one should be talking to the minute taker. But in fact, of the mind lately, that I think I'm gonna change voting on the minute. As secretary.
And Roger, I should have asked you when we were talking about the meetings.
Right.
Because that's pretty important. Is that okay for you? What we
Yeah.
discussed work
The
for you?
meeting dates?
Yeah.
They are, I don't have any conflict.
Okay,
I will say it makes sense to talk with the town administrator with regard to his timeline for doing the budget. It'll be his first time.
right,
Really
right.
see it for the year, whether he wants to start at the same time or start later.
Good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say he's already requested that we start the CIP meetings early,
Okay,
like in April, just so you know. so-
okay, no, that's good. Maybe we,
Last year, and it's pretty much the same timeline.
yeah,
So, yeah, well, yeah, I would send one to him anyway. The
I
other
have no problem starting in August if that's what needs to be done.
Changes.
That's all.
It's not usually a good idea to start before the middle of September.
Okay,
Just want to say that
Presentation.
that the information you sent out, when you sent it out was helpful for me to, so that, and who was gonna come.
oh, actually, yeah,
Department heads, and that kind of general, that was very helpful,
Well,
and that's what she's talking about, and I
Yeah.
just want to support that notion, and
Yeah. Well,
it's good.
I think those kind of communications, you know, whether people read them or not, that doesn't matter. I think getting everything out before the meeting is very helpful. I agree, Karen.
No, the reason I do that obviously is to coordinate with the department heads, because it's really tough to get them all on a date that you think works for yourself. So what I've done in the past is I find out is what I usually have done as chairman, was to schedule about half of each meeting for the regular department heads, like the police chief and the fire chief, and the other half for the town administrator. And that way, if one of them can't make it, then we can bump up the town administrator to do another part of the budget. And this is again why I said I don't think we should stick to a strict agenda, just put department heads. And the other, so what I usually do, those communications do go to the department head. And so what I usually do is, now that everybody has email, is I send an email to all the department heads with that on it and ask them, can you do this? And then I also put a hard paper copy in their mailboxes in the town office, so they have two communications with them. So, that seems to work out the best. But It's, you know, there's a lot of stuff I do with secretary that you don't see. me
Yeah.
do.
Well, and I want to, learn about that too. It's important for us to understand that.
I did it chairman, and because I was used to it, I kind of took it on as secretary too, but I know you're busy, I don't have a job, and I'm home most of the day, so it's easy for me to do it, and I'm close to the town office, I can walk.
Well,
So
thank you.
anything you want me to do, I'm available.
Excellent. Dan,
I would suggest, if we could please have the town administrator CC'd on all of the emails. Is that something that,
from the budget committee?
Yeah.
I mean, if the emails are really just concerning dates and times and things like this. Does anybody have any objection to that? I think that's a good idea. It's usually gonna be scheduling.
Everybody in the.
Yeah, it keeps everybody, then we're not, somebody's not wondering what's going on.
and that, exactly, and I think generally that's how the process went anyway.
Yeah.
When Mike
Yeah,
was
because
the admin.
he's always on the agenda.
Yeah, yeah,
So if he could just be CC'd on him and
Sure.
it'll be up to him whether he thinks that he needs to share it with the select board,
Yep.
whether it's information we should be aware of or not, but if he could just have the option to look through that.
Sure.
He's also responsible for putting stuff in the newsletter too, right? So
Yeah.
We also
if there's any changes, then.
So that's supposed to be his
Fine.
job. That's supposed to be his job, the select board representative is to represent the select board to the budget committee, so. He'll be getting, those communications as well.
Okay.
So it seems kind of redundant. for him.
but we'll want, I mean, Ned to be here, set up the Zoom and everything anyway, so.
Yeah.
He needs to know when everything's going on, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Point, so.
Yeah, the only thing he doesn't really need to be here for is like this one.
Right.
That's the only one he doesn't need to be here for. The rest of them-
Speaking of which, who's gonna break down the,
I am.
you are? Okay. Taken care of, great, thank you for doing that. All right, if we've got nothing else, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, everybody.
Good job, Nate. Thank you.
Everyone could